He's like Shrek without a donkey. Dicks out. From Ohio to Zimbabwe. Dicks out. Dicks out for Harambe. Dicks out. Like a cocktail from Bill Cosby. Dicks out. Like a primate fucking zombie. Dicks out. He's like, damn, somebody shot me. Dicks out. Dicks out for Harambe.
Fucking A, huh?
Fucking dicks out.
Dicks out for Harambe. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Deviant Gentleman Podcast. My name is Shane Vitko, alongside my co-host, Mr. Tommy Vext.
What's up, kids? It's your favorite Uncle Tommy.
Today we have a very special guest, Miss Crystal Teeny.
What's up, guys?
Well, how are you doing?
Oh my God, I'm amazing.
There you are.
Yeah. I'm doing great.
Yeah?
I'm happy to be here with you guys. You guys are like my brothers that I never knew.
Fucking
Right?
A lot of energy.
It's a lot.
coming out of you.
And you're from Philly.
That's
so we
right.
got Philly, Boston, and Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh my God.
That's the beginning of a bad joke.
Right? so how long have you been out in California?
13 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got you by 1 year. I got here a year before you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Changed a lot, though. I can say that much.
Yeah, it definitely has.
So do people back home, we talked about this a little bit, but do people back home think like California's changed you? You're a little bit light in the loafers now. You lost your edge. What
Oh
do the
my
Philly
God.
What do the Philly fans think of you
Honestly,
being a Californian?
whenever I go back home, they say I haven't changed at all. Because I've always been like the artist and stuff like that back in Philly. And most people, like we discussed earlier, they have kids at like 20-some and they live down the street from their parents and they never leave. And they're mostly miserable and want to kill each other. But I was like, you know what? I always wanted to be an artist and all this
Great
stuff.
food, though.
Yeah, exactly. And so I moved out here, but I'm still the same person here that I was at home. And a lot of people respect that because you come to LA and everybody's like faking shit. And I'll just tell you like right to your face, what's up?
Damn.
But I think that's also, I have noticed that what I have noticed over the 14 years of being in LA, the people who are in LA that think they're famous or think they're somebody, then they're from nowhere, right? They're from the
True.
middle of nowhere. They're
Yeah.
from like
Wyoming.
Yeah, Wyoming or Idaho or just
Alabama or some
and they
shit.
leave their town
Yeah.
and they think they're hot shit because they're here, and we're like, yo, it's just
Yeah.
the same blazing inferno of bullshit that we get anywhere you go. Like,
Yeah, no, true.
like, oh, you can see the Hollywood sign from my shitty fucking La Brea apartment. I'm like, I'm famous. I'm like, you're a
Exactly.
fucking loser. Like, fuck.
So you
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good episode.
so you originally came out here. Why?
I started dancing professionally, not as a stripper.
Okay.
I danced for the.
Whoa. Is
Well, that's not.
stripping not a profession?
Well, when
No,
I say
I'm kidding, I'm
professional
just
dancer,
kidding.
I'm saying like I was classically trained.
She
I
told
wanted to be
me-
a ballet
she-
dancer.
She
A
said I
ballet
was a
dancer.
professional dancer, and I'm like, a stripper or
No, son.
no,
not
like a
stripper.
professional
No,
dancer.
son, no, son, no.
Okay, so it came out to dance.
Yeah, but I always wanted to act as well, so that was also in part of my forte. And so I got into acting and auditioning and stuff, and then I also got into hair and makeup for TV and film, and that turned into wardrobe, which was kind of a nightmare for me, but fun at the same time. I love anything in the arts, both in front of and behind the camera. So it's weird. Like some days I'll show up on a set and I'll be the hair and makeup artist, and other days they're like, "Oh, you're fucking acting today." And I'm like, "Yeah." So it's cool to be able to do everything, and I like to be able to have that kind of control and stuff. And
Make a lot of good connections doing that.
yeah, totally.
Okay, and then so from there, were you always into yoga too, or did that start in Philly? I fucking
No,
doubt
it
it.
did not start in Philly.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yoga has exploded more in Philly now, but back then, like,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
non-existent. You were a complete fucking weirdo if you were doing yoga in
Right.
Philly. And so, but out in LA, it's like everybody's doing
Yeah.
yoga. Everybody wants to be Zen, which
Yeah.
are so fucking insane. Like being out here, like you have to do something to
Yeah,
like
with the amount
calm-
of holistic shit available in LA, you would
It's
think that it was
ridiculous.
a much
More
calmer
chill
area,
place.
and it's not.
No.
It's not.
Yeah.
There's
Everybody pretends
there's-
to be.
Oh, there's too many people.
Yeah.
There's too many people and the rent is too high. So there's like the quality of life is great because it's like one of the only states you can go to the beach, you can go snowboarding, there's
Right.
so many different
right.
natural things you could do. You can go
Totally.
hiking, but you can't do any of those things because you have to work 7 days a
Yeah.
week, 24
Right.
hours a fucking day.
I know.
Like,
It's
you know,
just this one big shit
And
show.
you're like, woohoo! I paid rent.
Yeah. Oh my God. It was crazy. Like how many jobs from when I first moved here that I had to be able to pay my rent. Like thankfully now, I mean, I've worked my way up the ladder with things, but back then, I mean, it was just like I was doing a million different like go-go dance jobs and like making money any way you could, but not like that. I could have been famous six times over if that was the case.
The dark route.
No, because like I said, I would have been famous 6 times over. I could have. I've had those opportunities, and I was like, "Fuck no!" Like I could never do that.
I'm still waiting for my opportunity.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's
No
out
one's
here
offered
like
me sex yet.
it's such a piece of shit thing to say, but I'm like all the Me Too people. Nobody asked me for a blowjob. What the fuck? I would have been a movie.
Right.
Fuck.
Isn't it crazy how that's a thing though? That where it's like, what's wrong with me? Why wasn't I molested? You know, like if that's somebody's fucking.
That's just because so many
Mind frame.
that's because we're so disturbed and so fucked up.
I'll take the credit for that too. I mean, people know who to mess with and who not to. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. When I was 8, I had a butterfly knife, and I was like, let the clown in the van try to fuck with me, dude.
Right. Exactly.
Oh yeah, I remember
Done.
practicing with those
dude.
with your friends.
I used to welcome it. I'm like, I can't wait till someone rolls up and goes, "Hey, your dad was in an accident." I go, "Was he, motherfucker?"
Exactly.
How's that? And he goes, "Up, this is the wrong kid. We get the wrong mark."
Right.
All right.
Moving
So
on.
okay, so
But-
we got a ton of shit to get into, but
Yeah.
I'm really curious how I like when people are entrepreneurs and start businesses and this and that. So you get into yoga, and I'm assuming you became a yogi, a yoga. What's a girl? Is a girl still a yogi?
Yogi, yeah.
All right.
But I became yoga certified.
Okay.
I don't know how many years ago.
So then in that, you somewhere along the line go, dude, you know what would be fucking cool? Mats that say
Well,
love yourself.
Listen,
and shit.
you know how it is to be a crazy person. You're both crazy,
Yeah.
right? And I'm crazy myself. So whenever I was doing yoga, I could never focus on the class. Like I was always like, oh my God. And I was trying to get into affirmations and like positive affirmations and stuff. And my mind was just up my ass and everywhere else. So it was like, whenever I was in class, I was like, it would be so cool if I had an affirmation like on my mat. And if I had like a really pretty picture to look at, that would inspire me to like just keep myself focused and centered. So I told my sister about it. I'm like, listen, I'm going to do this. And she was like dragging her feet for a while. We just had so many other things going on. Like we were on tour and we were here, and we were there. And I was like, we're doing this. Like we're fucking doing this. Like I want to have our own business. And
Is your sister
sort of
out
thing.
here or is she back home?
she's here.
She's out
yeah.
here. Okay.
But she's actually moving back to Philly because of how crazy things have gotten here.
Yeah, don't
And-
blame her.
Yeah. So we started that business. And
And when did you guys start that?
when?
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago, and people like loved the idea of it. And we had, we have customers like all over the world, and we just didn't know how it was going to take off. But I knew, like creatively, that this is what the market needed because there was, everyone talks about positive affirmations and stuff, but if you can really utilize it in a class and you're just focused on something like I am love or I am peaceful or whatever it is, because so many people lack these things. If you have that affirmation, that you could take it with you throughout the day. And that's kind of how it spread is through that. We're the only company that has that. There's actually one other company, but they're not really nice
Fuck
mats.
them.
But they're not nice or creative at all. It just like has a saying and there's nothing to it. But ours are like really special and colorful and blah blah
And
blah.
you-
What if you made yoga mats that had people could get their exes custom made on there,
I don't know
and then it
about
says "I am forgiveness." They're like, "Why did I get this fucking mat of Billy?" You're like, "Oh God!" And they're like,
if you want people to really
I'm
go off the
okay."
deep end, then
Couple
yes.
weeks later, you're like, "I'm okay,"
Right.
That's fine.
Have you made any fuck COVID mats yet?
Oh my God, no.
Is that a positive affirmation?
People in the yoga industry they probably wouldn't lose their mind because a lot more people now, since my page is blown up, are people in the yoga industry. And I'm like, oh my God, like I didn't think a lot of people were, but then I'm thinking, well, they're into holistic stuff. They know that
Health
things
and
are bullshit.
fitness and holistic people
So it
have
surprised
come
me.
around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, that's,
But then I was like, oh yeah, this makes sense.
were you a little bit? We'll get into some of your videos too. But when you first made the first video that went viral, kind of about about COVID and what was going on with that, and then that happened. Did you kind of think to yourself, "Fuck, am I gonna attract a new crowd? Am I gonna lose?" business? Were you a little bit
didn't
worried, or did you just go like, dude, this is what's up and fuck it?
I didn't even think about like losing business. I really didn't because people are like, aren't you afraid to talk about this since you're in the industry? I'm like, I don't give a fuck if I never get another job again. Someone out there is going to hire me for what I want to do. And that's how I think about things. Like I don't,
yes.
but I'm not going to live
No,
in fear. I'm
I'm
not
the
going to live
same
in
way.
fear and be like, oh, if I talk, like some of my friends are like, oh my God, like you're so brave to talk about this. I'm like, I don't give two fucks. Like if you don't want to hire me again because of the way that I think, I don't want to work with you.
Brave
Yeah, but-
is
and
they're
that's-
shooting bullets at us that way, and that's the way we got to run.
Yeah.
That's brave.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
right.
But for most people, but it's true. It's because for most people, they don't want the threat or the fear of being canceled.
Yeah.
The
Cancel me.
imminent threat. Yeah. Listen, I've had to deal with it. I've had Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio all go to my label and say, if this guy doesn't stop this,
Wow.
like, don't, and it happened twice. It was once because I called out Black Lives Matter in the beginning, and my video got taken down by Facebook and Instagram after it got 37 million views in a few days,
My
and it
God.
was shared. It was crazy, dude. Everywhere I go, I get recognized for that. Every 3 to 4 times a day, wherever I am, no matter what
Wow.
city I've traveled to. It's
Wow.
and I have a music video that's got 380 million views like online,
Right.
and still more people know about that. And yeah,
you go.
we got threatened to get canceled. I lost a book deal. I lost my endorsements, my microphone and my speaker endorsements, all
Holy
that.
shit.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing. It cost me about $280,000 in lost revenue for this year, just from telling
Right.
from saying my opinion.
Imagine
but
that.
like you, I don't give a fuck.
You
I don't-
can't.
I
I, mean,
don't-
this is bigger than anything that we could ever go through personally ourselves, like with our profession. I mean, this is like a matter of life or death for a lot of people. I mean, when it comes to the vaccine and it comes to all this stuff, and people don't know this information, and they're blindly trusting people that do not have their best interests at heart. That's a problem. And there needs to be people that speak up about it, that do have the information, that do want to warn people about the dangers of everything that's happening.
Well, it's hard for people to people like us who are, I guess you would say, naturally. I don't just
Not retarded.
Well, I don't just trust
Yes.
authority without question. I don't
Exactly.
I'm like, oh, this person seems like they're a good person. I'm going to follow them.
Right.
Like, it's like the lemmings going over the bridge, like going over the cliff. We don't do that here.
Yep.
You know,
I mean,
And-
it's that thing we talked about early on about if they said that COVID only affects you from 3 feet and higher,
People
elbow
would be-
pads
yeah.
would be the thing that
Right.
instead of masks, because people would be on skateboards
Yeah,
like
or
this
you
to
go.
get
rolling around
places
on the ground.
Absolutely.
Like,
instead of going, well,
I'm just gonna try walking around.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting because when you I don't know, and I'm sure you've got this, when you start putting the pieces together and then you step back from like the dry erase board,
Yeah.
and you're like, everything is connected in a way.
Yeah.
You look like a cuckoo.
You do.
Like, but now there's so many of us. I mean, dude, there's just so many people who have like unplugged from the
Absolutely.
media and unplugged from social media. And I mean, dude, Hollywood's never going to be the same.
It's really not.
You
And
know?
I think like
Really
I was of a person that wasn't plugged in at all. Just like, so you had people that were like super plugged into just, okay, whatever you tell me, and then went, wait a minute, and started questioning shit. And then there was people where like, I gave no fucks about any of it, period, because I felt like it didn't affect me, just like,
Yeah.
for a long time, it was just, I just got to not shoot heroin and go to prison today, And then once you get past that and start to go like, okay, now I'm a human being. Now things matter. What if I want to have kids? What if I want to do this? I want to do
Yep.
these things. Let me start to look into the stuff. And her and I spoke about, until you and I really started this podcast was when I started to look at some more stuff and look at some shit and go like, you know what? I kind of get some questions about some stuff, and this doesn't seem right. And it's
Exactly.
like,
And to not be allowed to ask questions is a huge red flag.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Exactly.
like, why are we not even allowed to ask about this?
Yeah.
Like, why are we not allowed to, the HCQ, like, it's like, we should be allowed to look
Crazy.
into this. Why should we not, why?
That makes it so much more obvious.
Yeah, it's I think, I don't know.
week to week, it fucking blows my mind how much more shit we have to talk about. And not like there's times where I go like, man, we're gonna be stuck on the same fucking thing week after week. and
there's
one
some-
week goes
there's
by,
just
and
then
you
there's
go,
100 new
Jesus
things,
Christ.
yeah.
Yep.
That and
Well, this week alone, what's going on so far? Well, yeah, you
Oh
have
my
a list.
God.
Like, I mean,
It's like
where do you
overload.
want to start? There's in Berlin, Robert F. Kennedy just
Oh,
spoke
yes.
for like 1 million people.
Yep. But they'll say, oh, there's like 500 people there.
You can't.
It wasn't even
listen,
televised anyway. I mean, they wouldn't even
Well, I
cover
saw
it.
it. I saw it on social media
Me too.
on Robert's social media. Listen, I play festivals for a living. I played for the largest crowd I've played for was 300,000 people,
Mm-hmm.
and that was in Germany with Five Finger Death Punch and Bosom Uncles, right, in 2017. This was way more people,
Right.
way more. Just looking from the stage, and I'm like astonished. I'm like, dude. And they were reporting it was like 17,000 people
There you
or
go.
something. I'm
and
like,
what was the reason for him visiting?
oh, they're just anti-gun COVID, they're anti-lockdown
Yeah, freedom march,
protesters. Yeah,
basically.
it's a freedom march. They don't.
No mask, no COVID.
No
yeah.
masks, no nothing. And they would, from what I understand, a bunch of fans like in different countries who are like truthers or whatever whatever anybody wants to call it now. People who are just like refusing to accept the bullshit we're being fed. They sent me all the specs and video from the ground and where they were. They're like, there's
Amazing.
absolutely no way that this is 17,000 people. The march, it's miles of people. It's crazy.
But I'm saying, did they want Robert F. Kennedy out there? Like,
Yeah,
did he
because
get
they
called
don't
to
want
come
a
out?
mandatory vaccine, and Robert has been
Man.
he's just been massively dedicated to educating the public on the threat of what comes with vaccination,
Yep.
Right.
especially when it's not tested. Like, there's not enough years to be tested for it to be safe.
Yep.
Who owns it? The fact that if a pharmaceutical company or a vaccine company gives a vaccine, they're indemnified. You can't sue them if something bad happens to your child. Because you have to sue the state or the government, and good luck with that.
They're not liable for anything that happens, any injury that you get. If you died the next day from the vaccine, they're not liable and you can't sue them.
Yeah.
So,
they can
and-
put,
and-
they can
so-
do whatever they want.
Has the
basically.
media and everything made it so that worldwide we're being fed bullshit?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's going on. Australia, Melbourne is having.
It's a global.
Yeah, and because of my position, because I have such a network of people from traveling professionally, I'm getting so much info. It's terrifying, and I have to like take a step back. Like in Australia,
Yep.
you
Australia
can't go out. You
seems
can't
unbelievable.
in,
Like,
in
it's
Melbourne.
something
You
you can't even
Yeah. Oh no, it's like
wrap
it's
your
like
fucking head around.
Yeah.
it's like
totally.
Nazi
It's like
Germany.
Minority Report.
Yeah, no, it's
Yep.
crazy. You can't go outside your house. You can go out for 1 hour a day.
You can only go a certain distance.
Only 5 kilometers.
Yep.
There are drones everywhere, police everywhere. A woman was the police came to this woman's house to arrest her for posting on Facebook for everyone to go just take a walk
Can you
and get
imagine
some
this?
fresh air. And the police showed up to her house. Like
this
this is
is-
what's going on.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I
This
thank
kinda
God for-
draconian
Yeah.
insanity.
Social media that we have this, because a lot of people in Australia, they message me the same thing. And if it wasn't for social media, like, they might want to keep us all quarantined so that we don't group together and talk about this. But social media has done way more than we could ever do as a group of 3 of us sitting here
But
talking.
wouldn't they
Oh,
have?
yeah.
Wouldn't
To know
they
what's
have-
going on
And they're
everywhere.
trying to shut that down too. And this is one of
Exactly.
the things. So I've started looking into this. One of the reasons why the big social Facebook and Instagram and all these companies don't want Trump to get reelected is because the Republican and conservatives have an argument that social media is a utility now, right? Because you can't have a business without social media. You can't
Yeah.
promote yourself. You can't, connect to your viewers. Everything's done online. So the social media platforms have become so massive, they are as functional as a utility. So you can't have a store without gas, electric, and water, right? Now in America, if you're a neo-Nazi, they can't turn off your water. If you're a pedophile, they can't turn off your electricity. Then they're not allowed, because we live in a free country and you
Right.
have a sovereign protected right, no matter what your belief system is or how fucked up you are. If you're a free person,
Yeah.
they can't turn off your water and your electricity.
Even
with
people from
social
Philly.
media, they are privatized companies, and their guidelines that are not. There's no legal guidelines for anything. They make them up as they go along, and basically, if they don't like your political beliefs or your moral standings, or they can just shut you off.
Right.
And then that's how they are controlling what is moral, like the morality of society. And that's what most of my liberal friends don't understand, because they only see people who are saying the same regurgitated bullshit narratives exalted.
Yep.
And so they're like, that is the right thing, and it's
Right.
it's smoke and mirrors, and so people are very confused. A lot of these people, like the Antifa people and BLM, they're very, very confused. They're very misinformed.
Very misinformed.
I just
yes.
wonder, like from all the things I like and visit the sites and everything, my feed is very gun, military, and I guess Republican-esque. And I just wonder what somebody that's like super liberal into Black Lives.
What does that look
What is
like?
coming through their feed a lot?
Right.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
an echo
I'd like
chamber.
to
We
look
all
at that.
see, like whatever you like is what gets regenerated.
And
so
like,
if we're watching all
but
the
then-
Antifa stuff come
Uh-huh.
through and we're furious about how everything's going down, and they see the same thing, like, do they not see the same thing that we're seeing? Like, or is it like, yeah, they're patriots and they're doing good for the country? Like, how could you
They don't
deny?
Well, they don't follow those pages. They don't see those things. You know.
They see the peaceful protesters
Well-
that all the media is talking about.
Yeah, they see
Peaceful
CNN
protesters.
and AOC and.
but I mean,
and all, you know.
it's almost like there's a blueprint that they have depending on what you're looking at, and then almost it gets doctored to you. Like, for instance, I just got engaged last weekend.
Oh my God,
And
congrats.
thank you.
You're welcome.
And all of a sudden, male wedding bands constantly are the ads in my thing. And
Mm-hmm.
why? I haven't looked at any, but I've put posts up that like I'm engaged and me and my fiance and all this
Yeah,
stuff.
'cause the triggering
So
words.
now something is picking up that, so that's what's coming through my things now, and they're all like got Viking things on them and like wood, and it's not just
Strange.
like
Yeah,
K
it's-
Jewel is gold.
right.
Like these motherfuckers know what I'll click on.
Right.
That's crazy.
It is.
Yeah, but they know they're selling our information. That's the other thing too, is that if we're going to
Yeah.
be, if these companies are, you know, essentially using our information and selling it, then we have a right to get paid for that. Or
Well,
or let everyone be exactly who they are.
that's a big part, and I know we'll talk about this later with the 5G and how what they're doing is you're not consenting to giving up all of your information and all this stuff. You know, so that's
Put it
another
in a
point that
bag.
we'll talk about, is that we're not consenting to any of this, but we are being spied on and listened to every minute of the day. But we'll get into that later.
So
Well, let's talk about, okay, so we got Germany. David Icke tore up England, London Square. There
Yes, that was amazing.
37,000 people in, I think it was Piccadilly Circus, and it was
Gave me
crazy.
chills.
And so for
Yeah.
people who don't know David Icke is like a 30 or 40 year conspiracy theorist who is he was
Little
he
nuts.
was a journalist. Yeah, he has some really out there views.
Yeah.
right.
But what is cool about him is he I guess you have to be crazy like Alex Jones, like you have to be nuts to be that dedicated to going
Yeah.
against the system, and he calls out the bullshit.
All
and
that, yeah.
and it's crazy to see this guy, this 70-year-old dude who's been ridiculed as a crazy person for 30 years, getting 37,000 people to show up and be like, we're not having
Exactly.
it anymore.
Yep.
You know, and then again, you have millions in Germany, and I'm sure Australia will be next.
The Queen also moved residences.
Huh.
Yeah, because they were shouting, there were
Pedophile outside
pedophile
of her.
protests outside
Yeah.
of Buckingham Palace.
Well, that's
they
like
moved.
part of the story, but they're saying that she's no longer the queen and the king is no longer the king, and supposedly there's supposed to be a new royal.
Are they taking applications?
I don't know. You'll have to ask. So there's a lot
okay,
of weird stuff
so-
going on
Sick
with that.
job.
There's tons of shit. I mean,
He'll do
there's-
all right.
The RNC was fucking bananas. So let's talk about Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
So
17 years old, Wisconsin
His-
or Illinoisan or
and
whatever.
you know
Right.
the thing you shared
Diego.
from what is it, Colin Noir?
The lawyer,
Colin
right?
Noir, yeah.
So
He's-
if you know, I know the things that I've seen from the left side, the right side, and then this guy has been the best up until the end when he gives a promo for fucking SACC or whatever. That's where he lost me. But at any rate, so here's the thing: everyone's saying like, so he wasn't from there, and he went to this place to protect that place. He lived 30 minutes from where they were. Both of the men, or the
for
one
all
that was
three of the
killed,
guys
all the
were
other guys
40
were
to
30 to
45,
40 minutes away
away,
too.
too.
So
Yes.
none of them should have been there, right?
and
it's-
there was a curfew. They shouldn't have been out.
right.
And
He was 17.
it's just interesting to see the spin. Like, first of all, Kyle Rittenhouse is even on his legal dockets. His ethnicity is Hispanic. He's
Yeah.
not white.
Yeah.
And they're trying to call him
well
a
then-
white
White
supremacist.
supremacist.
But this is the new thing. Like, everybody's a white supremacist, and it's like, it's crazy for me being a black guy who's in a metal band who travels all over. Dude, I've been to Kenosha, Wisconsin. Like, I've been to like all the places that you would never think to go.
Yep.
And dude, everybody's cool.
Exactly. And that's the
Everybody's
problem with the
fucking
media.
cool. Yeah, I don't really, and it wasn't always like that. It definitely wasn't always like that. But in 2020, dude, this whole like the KKK, I'm like, dude, I remember in 2016 when Trump got elected and all my friends in LA were like, Trump's America, the KKK are going to come back and it's going to be crazy and it's emboldening them. And exactly the opposite happened.
Yep.
I'm like, the Democrats created this BLM Antifa thing and they're killing people. They defund the police. This is the craziest thing of all. So in Kenosha, Wisconsin, there's just random citizens protecting businesses and property. There's tons of them, right? Well, they shouldn't be out there. Well, you defunded the police and you demanded a citizenry, a policing citizenry.
Exactly.
And then when the citizens showed up to police their own neighborhoods,
Exactly.
you call the cops because you got shot. Because what happened? You pulled first of all, this is the thing that pisses me off. People are fucking idiots. Even some of my smartest friends, they didn't read what happened. They looked at the headline, they watched CNN, and they reposted it. I'm like, dude, nothing of what you said is rooted in reality.
Right.
I'm like, there are like 17 videos. Okay, first of all, the dude who screams the N-word, shoot me, nigga, shoot me. Okay, yeah, now you're dead.
Right.
I'm sorry, if I was 18 years old and we were in Brooklyn, I would have fucking shot you in the head too.
Right.
And a lot of people are fucking pussies.
If he was there with the BLM movement too, how come no one black was like, hey,
but
man,
that's
don't say
but
that?
that's the
They
thing.
make
It's
up
like
their own rules as they go along.
But this is it just is what it is. That guy's a convicted pedophile. So
They all had a rap sheet, all those guys that he
again,
shot.
another Antifa person who's a pedophile. Every time an Antifa person goes to jail,
They're
they have
pedophiles.
they're a sexual offender.
It's insane.
Of some sort. They're a rapist or a pedophile. I'm like, this is who your army is.
Exactly.
This is who the DNC is backing. This is the criminality that you're using criminals as your foot soldiers in this anarchist movement.
Absolutely.
So this guy, he throws a Molotov cocktail at a 17-year-old kid who has an AR-15, and then he chased the kid.
Yep.
And then grabbed the barrel of the gun, and now he's dead. So I'm sorry. Don't care. That's like, it's like if a pedophile picks up a rattlesnake and is like, oh, I'm like, you're dead. Fuck, I don't care.
Right.
The other guys, the mob chases this dude.
And he's a kid. Like, my nephew's 15 years old. I couldn't imagine him at 17. But the other thing is, when the kid was on camera speaking, I mean, he's an intelligent little boy. And I could say little boy because they're kids. These are kids.
But they're also old enough to go fight for this country.
Exactly.
Almost.
He had a medical bag on him to like help people that were hurt or whatever. So he wasn't going there with the intention of, I'm going to go there and just kill people. It wasn't. And that's a lot of the picture that is being painted, is that he went there as a white supremacist to kill people. First of all, he didn't kill anybody that was black. He killed all white guys.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to. They're lucky that somebody like the Vegas shooter isn't showing up to these things.
Right.
They're lucky that people because it's coming. It's coming. Like, you look at what happened in Dallas when the guy lost his mind and started shooting cops. This is what they don't realize. Like, the tension that actually they do realize it, because I think that this is what they want to procure, a civil war, and they want the citizens killing each other.
Yep.
So anyway, back to Kyle Rittenhouse or whatever the fuck. He's running away, right?
He's being pursued
He gets attacked. He fires a shot, runs away. A mob chases him. You hear them say, "Get him!" He falls. He gets hit in the head with a skateboard. And I mean, dude, this 17-year-old kid with a semi-automatic rifle, he didn't spray the crowd.
Exactly.
He stood his ground. What's his name? The other guy who got shot in the arm.
Or something.
He had a handgun and ran up on him with a handgun, with a Glock, and he shot him in the arm and disabled his ability.
Very responsible kid with a firearm at 17 years old.
And then the other guy with the skateboard bashed him in the head and came back, and then he stopped and then continued to pursue, and then he shot him.
That's justified.
You literally cannot have a more concise self-defense than that. Now, should anybody have been there? No. But if there wasn't rioters and looters that have been going around the country for months,
The thing is,
and the police's hands have been tied. Sorry,
No,
I'm gonna
It's
shut
fine,
up.
it's fine.
I just want to finish my thought. And the police's hands have been tied. None of this would happen. And the left are like, this is Trump's America. I'm like, this is the Democratic.
Yeah.
This is every Democratic city, and then now
Exactly.
this is spilling over.
Right.
And we'll get to the you go, and
I mean,
we'll
even
talk about
it's,
how
you know,
this
and
started.
even in Portland where people, and it's like you said, the thing about social media. So you quarantine us so we can't see each other in person, but guess what? You forgot about social media. Now, how many people are pouring into Portland as American patriots to go there and stand ground and help people because the police are defunded, right?
Yep.
Now, here's the thing, is that I try to picture myself that I'm going to a protest, which would never be a fucking thing, I don't think. But you go there, and here's people with fucking rifles, okay? Now, in Portland, here's cops, and you go, I can throw shit at them and everything. They can't shoot me, blah, 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 so I can get away with this shit. Sadly, you do that to a private citizen, they
not
don't
gonna end that
play
way.
by the same rules. So
well, they don't have that training, and they're also once you engage with it,
You've
people
given
don't
me
realize
reason-
Oregon is a mutual combat state. So if somebody accosts you in the state of Oregon or in Washington, and you say, "Do you wish to engage in mutual combat?" and they say yes,
fucking A.
you can murder them
Wow.
and not go to jail.
So
Interesting.
here's
Yeah.
my
Okay.
thing with this whole thing is, sure, was he just about almost old enough to be in the military where we say we send kids off to war at 18. But you know what? We also train them and they have some superiors guiding them. So the way I looked at this when I saw the setup was you had grown men who had bulletproof vests on. They had all the stuff, tack geared out. They knew what they were doing. If it's me personally, I'm going to go, hey, we're glad you're here. This is where we want you in case of this. Not out front because you're 17.
But this is not organized.
Right.
This is why,
But
and this
there
is
was
the reason
be-
why
you see
we
one guy.
need
You
to
saw one.
refund the police.
I get it.
Right, I mean-
But you saw one guy do his best to go. He's grabbing guys, going, "You here, do this." I mean, if you're setting up something like that, it's just like you're moving like a military unit. Someone needs to decide
Delegate,
where
yeah.
people are going to be. Now, on the other side of that, if I am at a protest and people have AR-15s. I am not chasing someone with an AR-15
Right.
unless I myself have an AR-15.
But these-
so
but
you
these
play
pe-
stupid
these
games, you
kids-
win
Win stupid
stupid
prizes.
prizes.
But that's the thing. These are not like a lot of these.
What do you think is going to happen
They
when
don't
you
think
hit
because
somebody
they-
in the fucking head
These are not
with
real
a
men.
skateboard that
These
has
are-
an AR-15?
Dude, these
dude.
are not real men. These are little boys who grew
This
up
is not
playing video
Fortnite.
games, and their reality
Right.
of gun violence is
Yeah.
a video game. They've never seen what
Ouch.
a bullet does to a person's
Right.
body. They've never seen any of that stuff.
And never mind, we don't talk about the fact of this 17-year-old kid, the trauma that is going to come from him killing people at 17. Whether he stood his ground or not, this is something that is going to psychologically affect this kid, whether
Yeah,
he
for
goes
the
to
re- for the
prison,
rest of
whether
his life.
this is something that will change your life. I don't care if you hunt. I don't care what it is that you do. When you take another human being's life, it
Right.
will forever fucking change you.
Well, the other thing that I think about with these like Antifa and BLM protesters doing this bullshit is, dude, your mother, your father, your friends, like you're willing to go die.
But they're so brainwashed.
But that's what I'm saying.
this
You're
movement,
willing.
I mean-
You're willing to go and die.
Right.
So for
$150 a day
for the
that you're getting
Democrats, yeah, for the Democrats, you're willing to die for the Democrats. Like that's why you haven't seen the conservatives out here doing crazy shit because they're not willing to die for a political
Right.
party. We're just gonna vote. We're
Well,
smart.
I've seen there's training camps that these people have gone to, like in New York and different places literally.
Like Antifa
How did
ones?
The Antifa
like
training
poking
camps.
people in the eye and just like crazy drop kicking people and just
Krav
like
Maga.
goofy shit. Yeah.
No
And-
means no.
But where did they get these numbers of people to just continue? I mean, I
They're
know they put it on
paid.
Craigslist and
It's
that.
their
We'll give
job.
you $100 a day or whatever. But how do you get such a large mass of people to believe
You quarantine 'em.
this craziness?
You quarantine them.
but to say like
them with
you guys have to
shitty
go here and
parenting.
you have to right. It's just
Doritos,
bizarre.
Pepsi, shitty parenting, and
To
quarantine.
convince people though to
Antifa.
burn down entire cities and the communities that you're supposed to be advocating for.
But let's talk about what neo-Nazis and KKK people, how do they recruit, right? They don't have money, so they use the same recruiting techniques. That's why all these Antifa people, when they get arrested, they all have criminal backgrounds.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of people.
Well, they know who they're targeting, you know, misled, misinformed.
Yeah, and that's who they go.
Bastard
That's who they
kids.
go, and like it's online. They can, and just how we were talking about social media, you can look up keywords. There's, you know, how we all meet and how people
Right.
all network. They network, and you find people with similar beliefs who, and then you it's very easy to look into a person because people be like, people hit me up and they say horrible shit to me, and then I look at their profile and I'm like, oh, this is a bot. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this is like this is a clownfish. Like that's what I call it. Instead of catfish, it's clownfish.
Yeah. I
mean,
Because they like show up to your profile to try to dissuade your audience from believing.
Yep.
And I'm just like, oh, you're blocked.
They're on
they,
fire this
they
week for
stopped
me.
doing it to me because I just delete them and there's nothing
I
they
just
can
blocking
do.
them.
Yeah. And or people who are real say it to me, and my response is, you know, if you don't like me, I'm like, yo, I don't care. They're like, oh, you just lost a fan, and I'm like, don't care.
Right. All right.
Don't give a
Adios.
fuck. Sick. I'm like, enjoy your vaccine, bro. Like,
Right,
like
bye.
sick.
It is true with impressionable
sterilized.
people too, because I remember in the MySpace days, and I would change my name to like White Boy 88 or some dumb shit like that. And here's some grown man in fucking, you know, wherever across the globe, like, hey brother, fucking blah blah blah, and you're going, oh man, and he's asking you, have you killed anyone yet, and all that shit, and you're like, dude, nah, I'm fucking
Yeah.
15, you know, and he's like,
Right.
well, you know, and they amp you up into
Yeah,
thinking
yeah.
that like, you know, fuck yeah, dude, we're gonna eradicate and all this shit, and
Right.
like,
And they
dude, all
use
you're
the
doing
Trump
is sitting
thing.
at home, spray painting swastikas on churches and fucking just being hateful together and drinking booze and fucking
Right.
talking about how tough you are.
Yeah.
When's the last something that's happened?
But now
there's been a movement?
this is the difference between this has been mobilized and
I
it's
feel like
been
Antifa is
militarized.
the new fucking neo-Nazi. That's the
They
new,
are, they are, and
without
basically
calling it that.
Yeah, I mean, but they're the smart supremacists because instead of saying who they are and how they feel, they're like, we'll just use. I wouldn't be surprised if Antifa members, their desire, especially watching that one guy like go say the N-word and like go off like that, is like they probably want to see all black people killed by conservatives, and that's when they're going to bow out into the shadows.
Absolutely.
They want to escalate things to a certain level, and they want to keep feeding the fire. These people
And put them in harm's way because the blacks are the minority in this country, so there's
Yeah,
not
of
as
course.
many. And so if it came to that, and they are the targets because of Black Lives Matter, they got their problem solved.
Well,
Through
they-
George Soros' funded bullshit.
Yeah, and they using them. They use them. They're just
Right.
using them as the front line. They're like, okay, you guys go in.
But if you
and
look
yeah.
at all Black Lives Matter, these are all these white dorky kids. There's the black people that aren't really around that much. When you see this now, it is
yeah.
white kids with hoods over their
Well,
faces.
it's the video
Yeah.
with all the white kids yelling in these people's face to raise a fist. Hey, dude, please do that to me while I'm eating a burger somewhere, and I will fucking wedgie
Oh,
you
don't
and
forget
hang
it.
you on a light
If I
post.
was at a restaurant
Are
with
you
my
out of your
mother and that
fucking
happened,
mind?
but that's the thing. Like this is
I didn't see one black
I
person
don't
in
even
that
want to say.
crowd.
I
was
don't even
like,
want
this
to
is
not
say
one.
anything. I'm like, this is recorded. But God forbid I was with my mother, right? And I'm armed, and these fucking I will murder a 12-year-old kid if he gets in my mother's face. I don't care. You could see, watch it right here. Don't give a fuck. I'm not this Kyle kid.
But
I
that's
don't
why
give
it's
a
all part
fuck.
of the plan. They defund
Yeah.
the police, so these people are emboldened to do whatever they want with no consequence.
But they also, you know where Antifa will never go? A football game. They'll never go to a
Right.
baseball or basketball game. They don't go anywhere where there are a large concentration of real men
oh yeah,
because they will get destroyed.
But
Yep.
that's gonna
Destroyed.
come
Yeah,
eventually.
it's coming.
You know, again, that guy, and you've reposted it. I think we all did, with a guy going, "We're being peaceful now, but you know, keep fucking pushing."
Yeah,
but
it's
the
not gonna
thing
be
is,
peaceful anymore.
you know, you talk about the Kyle Rittenhouse, and then you got the Jacob Blake thing, and that's what it turns into: white kid, assault rifle, no consequences; black man, unarmed, shot in the back. And
Yeah,
it's
but
like, that's not.
Okay,
not-
so
it's not black
Kyle
and white, right.
Rittenhouse shoots 3 guys who tried to attack him and essentially kill him or inflict incredible bodily harm, right? Because that's what they were doing. And then he walks to the police, puts his gun behind him, puts his hands up, and lays down on the ground. Okay, he didn't get killed by the cops. What did
Yep.
Jacob Blake do?
Yeah.
He first of all, and this is like, the jury's not out on this, so I'm gonna. My research has. I also have. I have a friend who's a lady friend whose brother is in the Kenosha, Wisconsin Sheriff's Department. So there are things about this that haven't come out yet.
Yeah.
So my understanding of this, and people should look it up because I'm not a fucking, I'm not the DA, but Jacob Blake the police were called because he was breaking a restraining order for a third-degree sex offense, which a third-degree sex offender is rape of a minor, and he was breaking that restraining order. The police showed up. He fought with police. He put one cop in a headlock. They tased him. He escaped, ran to his car, grabbed a knife. They shot him in the back. Period.
Right.
Now,
So A, he's a pedophile and deserves to die. B, don't give a fuck. Come at me.
Right.
Don't give a fuck. You're already done. B,
Right.
B is breaking a legal restraining order by visiting the victim. C is resisting arrest. D, assaulting a police officer. And E, going for a weapon.
Right.
And F, endangering children.
Yep.
He should, and he's like, he's still alive. Cool.
I mean, I think all that stuff, if it's you or I on the street, yes. A law enforcement officer, and this goes back to episode 12 when we had Matt and those guys in here. How the fuck, this guy's maybe 160 pounds. You mean to tell me not one of the fucking four of you that was there was strong enough to put this motherfucker on? But even still, not one of yous could put this motherfucker on the ground? Like,
but dude,
and you tased him?
If the cops get called, let me explain something to you. Some people are scrappy. It is what it is. Like, and here's the thing. Why aren't you a cop? Why aren't I a cop? Because the shit don't pay. I'm not going to put my life on the line. I respect police officers because their fucking job is crazy hard. It's hard.
It is.
Yeah, but their job is almost impossible, and they get paid shit money.
But also,
that
you have to take
guy's-
into consideration that what's been going on with cops and African Americans, they're probably like trying to take the least.
Yeah.
But again, I still feel like that guy shot out of fear. I don't think that... You know,
Maybe
I
after
get
he was tased and-
whether his personality or whatever it is checks out. You know, I get that. I'm not a police officer. When you become a police officer, kind of some things have to change because you took an oath and you did some shit. Blah blah blah. It's the same thing in the military where they think we just go over there and get a license to kill. Dude, our rules of engagement are literally like until you're a bloody fucking mess, I'm not allowed to shoot this guy. You know?
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's not like while you're cocked back with a Molotov, until it hits me and I'm on fire, now I get to shoot at you.
Yeah,
it's not
those are the
Vietnam
rules.
where you just went like, oh, that looks like a bad guy. Brrrr, sorry, killed 6 kids. You know, that shit doesn't fly anymore. So again, I think about cops that I know.
So you see videos like the state troopers in Illinois
right.
who pulled a guy over and the guy got out. He fought with them, went to his car, got a gun, turned around and killed one of the officers and shot the other one and drove away. So where's the line? And how much of that happens that the news doesn't report?
I know.
Right.
More often than not, somebody, a felon, a convicted felon, you know, and this is, you know, and then, you know, and Jacob Blake's mom was on CNN and they were like, well, do you have anything to say to the president? What'd she say? I'm sorry I missed your phone call, Mr. President. You are our president. We respect you.
Yep.
And this is a tragedy. And this is not, our son's behavior is not indicative of the kind of people that we are.
Imagine that. Yep.
Right? So your own mother, you know, knows, and dude, my brother's a convicted felon. He's in jail for attempted murder. And my mother knows he's a piece of shit. And so do I. I fucking testified against him. I put him there. And that's so damning to the whole fucking campaign. And it's like we keep seeing all these different scenarios play out with the same narrative.
Yep.
I'd like to know people's point of view because I think that's pretty valid. Like if you watch both of those videos, you watch the 2 state troopers, that one guy who just has so much fight in him, and then you watch this one too, and you're right. I mean,
What are
it
you
is
supposed
where
to
is
do?
the line of what do you do?
Well,
It's
whose
just
life is it going to be? Like, look, I'm not getting paid
and I-
enough
I-
to give my life up
Right.
to take a pedophile into custody.
It ultimately for me stops at if I am getting pulled over, I'm not doing anything that's gonna or I know that
Yeah,
I know what
escalated
I'm signing up for.
Did you read
if
the-
I'm
did
gonna
you read
act
the
like that, I
transcripts?
know what the fuck. Like, when I used to run from the cops when I was a kid, I took that fucking chance. I knew it was happening. If I do something, I don't then go, oh my God, you shot me, or oh my God, I'm suing it. I go, fucking A. I knew the
Right,
rules of the
I
game.
put
I got
myself in the
caught. You got me.
situation.
When I
Yep.
stabbed a kid and went to prison and got arrested, I was not fucking confused what I was getting arrested
Exactly.
for. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's where
You're not
so-
the victim here.
and that's the thing I feel like is this, like, you know, when the police, and if you're innocent, hey man, they're breaking your balls. It is what it is. You're gonna go and you're gonna get booked and you're gonna get let go, and then you have the upper hand to go, I was mistreated, I was this, I'm calling the ACLU and I'm putting a report through and I'm gonna sue. And
Yeah.
people have done that and they've won. But when you start to take it on your terms and go, I'm not guilty, you're not fucking touching me, and you start doing shit and now you get shot.
That's how it
It's the
escalates,
same thing as chasing a kid with an AR-15 when you have a fucking skateboard in your hand, and that's what you're going to meet that with? That seems dumb.
Yep. True.
So yeah,
Fucking
rant
A.
end rant.
Insane,
Yes.
you know?
Oh, I love a good Bitco rant. It's a good
So
one.
I know you're fucking dying to tell me why I'm burning all the sperm in my testicles with my fucking
You have
5G cell phone.
Yes.
So
Are we gonna break into the 5G?
yeah, I mean,
mean-
we'll save. I think we end it with Bella Thorne breaking OnlyFans, but
Yeah. Okay. That's not really news.
I mean,
Yeah.
to break OnlyFans, dude, that's fucking. At any rate, so
Yeah.
5G. Tell me
Okay.
why you got into that rabbit hole.
Okay, well, I was looking into it for like a couple years, right? And then during the quarantine, I was in Philly the whole time, and I knew that this 5G rollout was happening. Came back to LA like 3 months later, and the first night I like couldn't sleep in my room, so I was just like, whatever, I'm probably jet lagged. Second night, would wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, like it was 9 o'clock in the morning.
Headaches, right?
But just like wide awake. And I'm just like, I usually can sleep pretty decently. Third night, wake up with heart palpitations. Like I woke up and like all of a sudden I was like, I woke up to that. And then like my heart was just like doing this like weird flutter. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? Then the headache started. Then the next day, like I woke up and I was like really nauseous in my room. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. Then the next day, I started to have this really deep burning sensation in my chest and a wheezy feeling. And I've never had asthma in my life. So all these things were happening. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? So it wasn't until about a week later I woke up and I heard like this really high pitched frequency. And I was like, I know that it's 5G and I know that it's here somewhere. So for my whole time that I've been living at the same place where I live now, I go up on the roof and I film yoga, shit, and whatever, dance videos. So I know the whole roof. I know what's up there. I went up there the next day. Right above my bedroom, there was a 60 gigahertz 5G lamp. So I was like, that's it. And it's literally
And what's
like
the,
right here.
What's
it
the
would be.
what's the gigahertz that's past the point of safety for humans to be in contact
Well,
6 or 10. isn't it?
3G and 4G operate somewhere between like 2 and 8 gigahertz, I believe. And 5G jumps all the way up to from that range to like, I mean, okay, so at 90 to 95 gigahertz is when they do the crowd dispersing, which they use, you know, for like military weapons and stuff. So if they want to disperse a huge riot or something and they had those towers there, they turn this on and all of a sudden, like your hair is just standing up and you feel real uncomfortable. So people just, they fucking get out of there unknowingly, obviously. But at 60 gigahertz is when, and this is like science-backed information, that the DNA actually starts to break. And
there's no
the
repairing it.
oxygen does not, the blood is not oxygenated properly, which you start to have these breathing issues and you start to have respiratory stuff. And you have all these symptoms that look exactly like COVID-19. So anytime people were relating these things together, they were just taking them down like everywhere, YouTube, whatever. And if you put COVID-19 and 5G together, you're done.
Do you?
So-
So you think that they're both a thing? You don't think that 5G is COVID is the cover for what's happening due to 5G?
To be honest, like I think that they did deploy some kind of flu type, and this is through Dr. Buttar as well. Like he believes like that it came from one of the Carolinas and it went over to Wuhan, China, in the lab there, and it was a mixture of a coronavirus mixed with a SARS virus, which is a respiratory virus, and they mixed those together in a lab and they, you know, put it out into the population and. You
Then
got
they-
this virus, and
But
maybe they thought it was going to be much worse than it was.
But I feel like
But
they're both going to make each other
At the same time,
intensify.
you're rolling out 5G And you have all these people that are getting radiation poisoning. They don't know what it is. They think it's the same symptoms. I have COVID-19.
So let me ask you a question. So, and this is a theory that's been, another conspiracy theory. What is the motive? If I've watched like Plandemic and Judy Malkovich, and what's the motive for releasing COVID? Because there are like, I always thought it was very peculiar that
New World Order. Sorry.
That New York and Boston like got hit specifically, and I was and so I kind of attributed it just through common sense to like the public transportation system and like how the way people live stacked on top of each other. That it's much easier.
But they're the most closer together and the most like they have the biggest like kind of communities with how many people there are together that are banding together. So if you're quarantining all these people, there's not people that are so close together like talking about it. Or I'm at Starbucks and people are talking about it and I can join in on that conversation. I mean, it's like a separation tactic to some degree that there are so many people in one place and it got hit the hardest there.
How is it supposed to last that long? Like how long? Like people are like, we're not dead.
Brainwash. I mean, the media just scared people to death. I mean, even in my own family, and I had to
traumatized.
Completely. Like I was on a plane 2 days ago and there was a kid next to me that was probably like 18. He had 2 masks on, constantly getting out the hand sanitizer, wiping down everything. I mean, the media does this to people. And if you have parents that are, I mean, all of our parents are in that generation where they trust the news and they trust the source and that's all that they'll watch.
Yeah.
That trickles down into the next generation of your children. And, all 3 of me, my brother, and my sister, like we're all like truth seeker, like conspiracy nuts. And we kind of have to like walk our parents back and they're still so indoctrinated that they're like, that's not true. Dad, the fucking 5G. Like now there's a 5G tower directly behind my dad's shop that's like 4 stories high. He's been very sick. My brother's like, every time I go into the shop, I have heart palpitations.
So okay, so let's talk about what the public is supposed to think 5G is for and what is it
T-Mobile,
really?
faster downloads and,
Broadband
faster internet. That's what they're advertising. People don't ask questions.
My porn keeps buffering for too long.
Okay, so I mean, everything's instant. Like we don't. I mean, to be honest, we don't really. I don't have to wait for anything. Yeah. Like maybe that's because we're from like remember AOL dial-up, and you're like, oh shit.
But people don't pay attention to new technology. They're just like, oh, the newest iPhone, let me get it.
Yeah. No, it's because we're such a fucking lazy and like do everything for me. Where when we grew up in the 90s and shit, like you had to fucking get friends. You had to ask a girl out. You had to go to ride your bike to the store to fucking eat.
If the parents need to know where the kids were, it was where all the bicycles, whoever's house had all the bikes in front of it. You're like, oh, there's Billy's bike. Like,
and now you can sit home and order all your food from Costco. Have someone come and do your hair and makeup at home.
WALL-E, remember the Disney movie WALL-E?
Yeah.
How everyone's in the spaceship and they devolve their bones and everything because they're in these chairs that fly around and they never have to walk.
That's this generation.
They literally predicted what was happening. And it's actually happening.
Well, this has all been in the works for decades.
This is all making healthy people unhealthy. Like if you're healthy, don't wear a fucking mask, still work out, do these things, eat properly, like to
go back to work, open up. Right? What did the CDC quietly release this week?
Exactly.
This is the biggest news story in the world, and it is not on any fucking news channel.
I got those facts.
Only 6% of all COVID deaths
were actually from COVID. And I'll still do quote unquote because if people were being fried by radiation and didn't know and I can only say this because I've experienced it myself, how sick I got. And I am so fucking healthy. Like I take crazy herbs that people have never even heard of. I'm vegan. I'm extremely healthy. So I know, and my body's very reactive to anything that I'm around or exposed to. So if I get any kind of illness, I'm going to get symptoms right away. So seeing how sick I got from being exposed to it for only a few days, I can only imagine people that aren't healthy that are being exposed to this and may already have respiratory issues or immune issues that get exposed to this and get very sick, can go to the hospital, be put on a fucking ventilator like people have been, and dying because they're killing healthy lungs. So who knows really what our reality is in all this? We don't.
I feel like, because I know David Rodriguez is big on the 5G thing too, but how many people...
I kind of pushed him to that.
How long does it take? Like, I guess it's not your job to convince people, but Like, I mean, I guess after, like, when I started watching some of your videos yesterday, I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm frying my nuts. My
Right.
sperm's fucked up. My DNA, I can't even fix. But as long as I don't put my cell phone in my pocket for the next 3 months, my sperm count will go back up. And
You
then
were
I'm going,
listening.
yeah. And then I'm like, well,
So
what do
what
I do with this fucking thing? Carry it around in a fucking lead bag?
I mean,
Yeah, so what,
essentially.
I mean, for our listeners that are interested in this, because sterilization is like hand in hand with Bill Gates, and it's not a conspiracy. It's literally what
These
Bill
are
Gates has
facts.
been talking
Yeah.
about for 20 years. He talks about it all the time.
Yep.
So he's into it. He's not gonna And some of the interesting I watched a physician break down in the UK break down the contents of the new COVID vaccine, and in the female vaccine there's HCG. Why male and female need a gender specific vaccines for COVID? Already
right.
weird. But what people don't know what HCG is, HCG is a hormone that bodybuilders use.
When you're coming off.
Yeah, so that when they're coming off tests or whatever trend, whatever the bodybuilders are on, so that they can still produce sperm.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
If you introduce HCG into a
woman.
woman's reproductive system, it will make you barren.
Right. It's suppressing your estrogen, where
Yeah.
it's suppressing
This is all
estrogen
part
and
of
giving
the
us testosterone.
depopulation agenda.
Sure.
So-
are there
You
two?
know.
But what are the? What's the?
What?
What isn't there like a non-insane way to be like, hey, everybody,
So-
like maybe don't have kids.
But, all right, so there's...
No, it's all about control, and they want to kill too many people for that to happen.
And
They want to
there's-
have like 500 million population.
I mean, if anything, too, it's to like
7 billion.
sterilize everyone and make sure the elite don't have 5G, so that's the only people that can reproduce. Maybe.
Right? I mean,
So for us that want to carry around a 5G cell phone, because what are my options? To get a fucking Razr flip phone 4G?
do you know what? This one activist, Lena Poo, who has written a notice of liability that I'm working with people to do, to send to politicians and schools and stuff like that, because this is all unlawful, which I mentioned earlier, but she spent 7 years writing this notice of liability. And I mean, it's a crazy legal document. You don't even need a lawyer to be able to use it. And she has like a flip phone or a Nokia phone. Like, she does not have a smartphone because I believe she got really, really sick from wireless and all this stuff, which sent her down the rabbit hole of becoming an activist for electromagnetic frequencies. So she literally has like, and I know it's not an option for most people, but they're coming out with like different cell phone cases that are, that will, stop the radiation or block radiation, things like that. Like, I have the EMF sticker, and a lot of them do actually work.
What's the EMF sticker?
what's
It's
the
a
EMF
little
sticker?
tiny sticker on the back of your phone, and it stops your phone from overheating, but it also helps to absorb the EMFs. And
And you
so-
can just kind of order those online?
Yeah, you can order them.
Shit, what was I going to say? So the
But
stuff.
also-
The thing about where it's becomes harmful, and then what they said too was I watched a thing about how it becomes this sandwich, because now not only is it my cell phone, I also have an iPad. How many of the
You have a
router in my
Wi-Fi
house,
router.
and then the neighbors, and then the shit that's outside.
The LED
So-
lamps, the towers,
But
everywhere.
then if I'm just have a sticker on my goddamn phone, don't I got to
yeah.
put 7 of them on my
okay,
body too?
so that's the thing. You asked about a cell phone.
Is it safe? Is it so? Does it? I mean, and I've been thinking, do we need to evacuate cities?
Well, that's what a lot of people are saying, is that they're trying to push us into cities and living in cities. And they've been saying this about the California fires, that they're all in like, unpopulated areas to push people that do live there like into the cities. And they're having smart cities. So you're not going to be able to escape any of this, and you'll be able to be facially recognized and everything else.
What
like,
if you live in
wherever you are.
Montana?
I don't know, because if you go to places like that, like I was up in the mountains in New Mexico, and every now and then you'll see a tower somewhere, but it's not as
It's
densely
prevalent.
populated with the towers and the lights and everything. But if you notice, and since you travel, if you go to other cities, you'll see utility trucks everywhere. These guys are putting it underground now.
Oh
Not
yeah,
only
the funny
so,
that's what I noticed. So during quarantine, like as soon as it hit, I was like, no.
like, there's no coincidence that this all just happened at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah, but
you know?
I just was like, I'm going to the studio and I'm going to make records. And I've made 3 albums in 2020 and finished a biography.
Wow.
So I've been busy. I don't give a fuck. The other thing too, like I listen, I was murdered in 2010 and I was revived. I'm not scared. I'm like, yo, if I die, I die. Like all these people with the germs, and I'm like, okay, bro, like whatever.
Right.
I'm like, this is the shit show. I'm like, after this, it gets sick. So anyway, what I did notice is every fucking day, everywhere I went, there were fucking utility trucks putting shit on fucking poles everywhere. I'm like,
it's a $5 trillion
what the
rollout.
fuck?
But I just wanted to answer your question because you're saying like, well, if I put a stupid sticker on here, blah blah blah.
Well, I
there's
didn't call
these
it
devices.
stupid.
Not, you know what I'm saying. I'm just, whatever. But there are devices that I've also been. I'm working with this company that have these devices that literally create a shield. So if I have the key shield in this room, it will protect all of us, and it will
That's like
literally
the thing
turn
David
a negative.
has, that thing that
Yes,
looks like
that's
a
exactly what it
copper
is.
fucking
Where do
So-
you get that?
time capsule.
It's by Synergy Science.
Okay.
And
Sorry, we're there. We're coming. Ma, I'll be there for breakfast.
so yeah.
They don't want us talking about this.
Who was that?
But they're really
just
great
set my
devices.
phone.
I have 2 of them. I'm ordering them for the rest of my family, and they're fucking expensive. But
I'm
I'm
pretty
willing
sure-
to invest in my health
Yeah.
to protect myself because of how sick I was and how sick I know people have the
How
potential
expensive
to
are they?
get. The little one that I have is $500.
Whoa.
They go up to $6,000.
Do they take payments?
They do. They
Whatever.
have
Do
they have a
payment
firm?
plans.
Give
They
me
have a
2.
firm?
They do.
Do they have a
Yeah,
firm?
actually.
Sick.
Yeah, because people
I'll
see the
buy you
price
one
and
for
they
your
get scared.
engagement. I got
Thanks,
you.
man.
All right, there you go.
No, I think,
it's
and
a
I
wedding
think,
present. Here you go, buddy.
I think David has a link to sell those, the Q
He
shields.
does, so do
or
I.
whatever.
We both.
Oh,
yeah.
all right, well,
Okay.
never mind. Then
Send them over.
fucking-
We'll post it up.
Yeah, because it'll give you like a 10% discount, which obviously helps somewhat. But they really work because I was very sick, and I literally
And
have
look
it with
at you
me
now.
We should
everywhere.
give one out.
Fucking
We
glowing.
should give one away
Yeah.
to our most tinfoil hat fans.
Yeah.
Seriously,
We should
they
just
would-
do a raffle. I'll do it.
right.
Yeah, I'll order one. Be like, all right, guys, we're gonna give one of these
Yeah.
bad boys
Right.
away. All right, just make sure you call 55, but don't put the phone up to your head. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
doing it right now. Oh shit!
All right. Well, where can the people find you? Give me everything. Links, even the soul mats. Tell me it all.
I mean, my Instagram at Crystaltini, KRYSTALTINI, and yes, that is my real name. And then my soul mats, MYSOULMATS.
My
it.
soul
and what about
mats.
this thing for the thing?
Oh, well,
All your
Synergy
links are on
Science,
there?
you can just DM me because I'm really good at getting back to people with that because I just do this all day, basically.
What's the thing on your site, on your Instagram that says, join my fucking AI? What is
Gaia.
that? Oh, what
you
the
talking
fuck
about
is-
Gaia?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that is.
Gaia is,
Guys, Mother Earth.
it's an app that is all spiritually related stuff, and they do have
sure.
I mean, David Icke, there's all
So,
different
like, my
documentaries
breathwork
about
could go on
aliens
there?
and absolutely.
yeah?
Yes,
Huh.
they do yoga, everything that has to do with
Sick.
spirituality and holistic, blah, blah, blah.
See
Yeah.
that?
It's a
Just
great
all-
platform.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming into my and Tommy's Never Let the Guest Talk
Thank you.
fucking studio.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I got a few words in, so we're good.
All the fans are going to complain. You guys need to let your fucking guests talk more. Shut the fuck up. Start your own podcast. How
There
about
you
that?
go. Boston in the house.
Yeah. But thank you very much for
No,
coming
thank
in,
you
and thank
guys.
you
Yes.
for
It was fun.
Glad that
taking
you
the
weren't an
time.
informant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
my
God,
we didn't
yeah.
even
We
get
didn't
to
even
that.
talk about
too.
that.
Fuck.
I know.
Well,
How
like-
much? Can we get an extra 5 minutes on the clock? All right, there you go.
All right,
Let's
yes.
let's keep the wheels rolling. I got you. I got a tip for you today, boss.
Hell yeah.
So
So tell me
Tell
about
us
it.
about-
Tell me about you being
Okay,
an
so
agent.
Well,
well,
so-
since my profile grew, like I was talking to you earlier about my profile was at like 29.3 thousand before my video went viral. So I had a video on with a gray tank top, no bra on, and like my nipples must have been showing through because people were like losing their minds, like you need to put a bra on and all this stuff. So they were focusing on that more than the message.
I gotta go
But
back
at the
and
same
watch
time,
it.
people were like,
But meanwhile,
this
everyone
girl-
tuned in for the titties and
Well,
stayed for the
sadly, the-
wokeness.
they did, and
Yeah.
they're like, holy shit. So that went viral. And then I did this other one where I was just like cursing like a fucking sailor and just losing my mind. Like saying, like, if the media told you to jump out the fucking window, like you would all jump out the window. Like you should be ashamed of yourselves for not researching things yourself. And I was just like a maniac in that video. And that, I mean, that went around the world. Like people from South Africa, from every country, like messaged me. I'm like, this is fucking weird. So I had a couple million views on that. And then my following is literally growing like 1,000, 2,000 people a day, 3,000 people a day. I'm like just watching the numbers going up. And I was like shitting myself because I'm like, this is weird, especially because of the stuff that I was talking about. It
Yeah,
wasn't
you're
like,
like-
I'm
you're
this
like, I
gorgeous
don't want
model and I'm
people
getting
to
all of
fucking
these people
know.
follow me because of that.
Right.
Like I
Well,
did all that.
You're pretty hot, though.
No, but I
It
did
helps.
all that. You know what
Nobody
I mean?
wants
It's
to
like,
watch us talk about this shit.
But I wanted to be an influencer for a long time because of my art and this and that. And like it's a dime a dozen in fucking LA. Like nobody cares that I'm hot or that I can lift my leg over my fucking head. Yeah. So it was like, that was the message that people were like, who is this person? Like, I want to listen to her more. And that's when I just completely turned my page around. But more importantly, you know, I have so much to say, and I've always been like a truth seeker kind of person. And people always came to me for that kind of thoughts or advice. So I just was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, I'm supposed to do this. Fuck the acting and everything else. Like, I'll always love it and be an artist, but I'm going to change someone or humanity because of the things that I'm saying. Because a lot of people are like, you open my eyes to so many things. And like, that's something that makes me feel good. It's like, oh, she's a great actress or she's a great dancer. Who fucking cares, man? Like, this is so much more important and deeper than anything like that. And there's still so many people that are like posting selfies like, look at me. It's like the world is fucking crashing around us. Yeah, and you guys still put pictures of your ass on fucking Instagram. Like, what?
Thank you for that.
Thank you for posting a picture of your ass, because we need a distraction at times.
But no, and I get that. But it's like, come on. Like, we're falling apart at the seams here.
We do still have a caveman brain once in a while and go, oh my God, tits.
Yeah, it's just it is weird because I feel like virtue signaling culture has crashed. I feel like Hollywood influence has crashed, and then
totally
you see kind of like, I'm starting to, you know, there's a couple people told me, like, just look at the comments, just look out for them, and you're like, oh, this is. You see like these mega celebrities, you're like, oh, there's like 10,000 fucking things. And like, I'll post something with 100, well, I have almost 200,000 followers. And I'll post something, I get 2,000 people, and people are having conversations, and you can see it's real. Man, these like troll bot farms, they just like show
like
up
emojis.
They just like, oh yeah. And it's like the same fucking thing every 10. You're like, what the fuck is going on? And it creates this semblance of how much people fucking care about you.
Right.
And so I didn't realize this, and there was an influencer who hired a company where there's just like these offices in India with people. That's their job. And you pay
100%
a monthly fee.
And that's the majority of people. And they want to fake their fucking celebrity, and it's insane.
I had no idea. I didn't even know buying followers was a thing till like 2018.
Buying followers, comments.
I didn't even know.
Everything.
They message me all the time because of where, you know, I'm at like the 3,000 mark. So it's like, hey, we can get you to 10, 15. And I'm like, dude, I don't want people that are just going to comment and be like, great Bob's, send Vagine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm all set,
but wait, so getting back to how all this started with the whole thing. So people like lost their minds. Well, not people. I should say there's like a couple of people that are just like, you know, how did your following grow? Like, I watched you go from this amount to this amount. Like, people are paying close attention. Right. Like, you know, you're a paid informant, and like, you know, you're controlled opposition. You're a honeypot. I'm like, what the fuck is a honeypot? Could somebody please explain to me what a fucking honeypot is? I don't know what this even means. And then some guy actually told me yesterday.
One of your haters like messaged me and was like, she's an informant and a honeypot. And I'm like,
they're late on all the paychecks. Then.
I was like, do you know what a honeypot is?
But first of all, an informant for who?
Right. I'm literally exposing things and saying things that
that's what
most people would never open their mouth and say.
And then, okay, what is a honeypot?
A honeypot apparently is a hot chick that is giving you this information with some disinformation mixed in to try and lure you in, and then all of a sudden I'll switch. And I'm not going to mention the person who has done this recently within the Q movement, but I don't know what his deal is. But I mean, I would say that would be, he's not really hot though, but like a honeypot type of thing. You get all these people to follow, and you have this big following. All of a sudden you turn around. Too?
Yeah,
I mean, I would think
so. But the like anonymous on Twitter switched this year to being an Antifa page.
So there's a lot of crazy shit going on, and I guess people are skeptical because like, well, she was an actress, and like, you know, she's just really good at doing all this, and it's just like, guys, do I have that much fucking time on my hands?
I have the all-seeing eye tattoo that I got.
Forget it, you're done.
I had no idea what it was. People were like, you're an Illuminati. I'm like, yes.
Like, that symbolism hurt.
Yeah, I'm like,
there's a dear, like a wooden deer behind my head in my bedroom, and they're like, that's a Baphomet, and this is symbolism. I'm like, guys, you can have fucking fun with it.
Yeah, that's why. That's where it gets too far. You're like, okay, guys, like, you know, it's like I'm okay, done. We can't really get. It's like the kids in the back of the class are like just hysterical. You're like, Billy. I don't know why Billy is the name today. It's like Billy. It's like Billy Madison. Yeah. Billy, please, no gibberish. I beg you today for once, please.
But I'm screenshotting all the shit, and I just put it in my stories. I'm like, guys, have at it. And they're like, you're publicly embarrassing me what I'm saying. And I'm like, you're publicly embarrassing yourself, motherfucker.
What people are doing, people are frustrated. And what they're saying is, because last night I was like, you know, me and Dorothy is a singer, and we have a single coming out, a duet, and she's a good friend of mine. And somebody like posted some dumb shit like on Twitter, and you know, it's people who are frustrated at what you built.
Yeah, that's totally. You're absolutely on
And
point.
this is the way they express their jealousy. So as I grew up, so I have some friends who are pretty heavy hitters. So as in the music world, way before I got here, like I blew up in 2018, but I've been playing music since '96, and I've been had record deals on and off since 2000.
Yep.
So I never criticized the people at the top of the game. I befriended them, or I just asked them, hey, like, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me? Like that humility, just like, hey, how do I do this? Dude, I need to learn how to do this. And that's a lost art. It's like all these people who are spending time talking shit. Most people who are becoming successful are happy to share.
Totally.
You know, it's like, this is what okay. Because it makes us feel good. We're like, oh, I did do something.
Well, it takes a certain kind of person to be like that too, because there's a lot of people out there that don't want to share their success. But
but
we're all in the same room together for a reason.
You know? And that's another thing that, like, haven't you noticed like in 2020 the quality of people, like every piece of shit is out of my life.
Yeah,
they just
they've taken the trash out themselves.
Yeah, like
it's
I'm
amazing.
Like, oh my god, like all the pieces of shit in my life are gone. Weird.
Right.
It's like I didn't even do anything.
Yeah.
It's just like all I was myself.
So true.
And I'm like, oh, that's weird. And then in their stead, like there's been so many great opportunities and positive people and critical thinkers and people who question, people who want to know the truth.
Yep.
And genuinely, these are people who have the same moral compass of, I just want to know what is the truth so I can do the thing that is right.
Right.
You know, and that's 2020, and 2020 is perfect vision and the Great Awakening.
Yes,
and I'm not a Q guy, but I'm starting to see a lot of shit, and I'm like, oh my god.
Well, if anything, it makes you think. Like, you don't have to be. I'm in the
That's
Q
all,
movement. It's like that thing has opened people's eyes to like what's really going on. You don't have to be a follower. You don't have to be.
It's like you share one of the things that they post, like Q mail drops or whatever, and then I get, you know, all these people message me and like, bro,
they lose their
do you
mind.
really? And I'm like, dude, I'm just putting it up because it's like I watch it and went, that's kind of something. You know what I mean? I'd rather show it and you get to make your choice off it. But here's the thing, you still get to feel the way you feel, and I'm not gonna fucking block you over it.
But
like,
the only reason
so
people
much
even
fucking
know
hate,
about
man.
Q now is because the news has attacked it.
Exactly.
Like the Q movement is like 5 years old. There's
they're
been millions of people.
They're late. They're too late.
Millions and millions of people are on this
too
Q
late.
shit, right? And the media is like, we've got to do something about Q. They're a terrorist organization. Da da da. I'm like, bro, these are like church people.
Literally.
Like this is who this is. This is. It's like Christian people who question
But there
authority.
hasn't even been one gathering of like a Q.
Yeah. Well, in Germany, they
haven't had
You're
massive
not gathering
numbers
like
in
Antifa
Europe.
and going out and destroying like.
Yeah.
They
But
haven't
how's
had
it a terrorist
Q
organization?
festival
There's
yet.
not been
It's
any.
a terrorist organization because a senator got voted into office because of Q followers backing them.
That makes perfect
We're
sense.
gonna try.
And that's why Q is terrifying, because they don't need to say anything.
Right.
We're not outside. Like, people are not causing civil disobedience. They're not destroying. People protest with their vote. It's the most powerful thing you can do. And no matter how much drama, and this is how you know Hollywood is so involved with the media, because this whole year is a movie.
Literally.
It's a fucking bullshit movie. It's a script. And everyone's on script. And the only reason I know is because I'm in the entertainment industry, and when you deviate from the script, you get punished.
Right.
So if it wasn't a script and shit was just going down, and it was like, yo, this is just the fucking most unfortunate year of human history, and it wasn't, and there's no forces guiding or orchestrating or financially benefiting. I mean, dude, this has been the hugest financial extraction in global economic history.
Yep.
Right? Like, when was the last time rich people got this rich and poor people got fucked was like the Great Depression, right?
When was the last time there was a coin shortage?
Exactly. Nobody even
We were
uses
talking
coins
about-
anymore for there to be a coin
What the fuck
shortage.
has changed, dude?
Exactly.
It's like you walk out and give it to the guy outside. That's the LA fucking way. You just go here. That's where all the coins are. The homeless people must be hoarding them. I don't know because I don't fucking
yeah,
have
I mean,
them.
that goes back to getting rid of money.
Of course. I mean, and who doesn't fucking see that?
Getting
That's
rid of
insane.
small
Right.
punishing small businesses, getting rid of small businesses, then getting
Switching
so
over,
then
no more cash because of the germs. You can't. It has to be cashless, guys. We don't accept cash anymore,
yeah.
which is also not legal.
Well, fucking A, dude. This podcast, we could just do this and like take
think
lunch
I'm gonna
breaks
be your
and
new
maybe
partners,
sleep,
guys.
and that's it. Because
Yeah,
it's like
let's just do it. You want to
never
just should we just
ends.
add her in?
Yeah.
Just throw her on.
Yeah.
The Deviant
I'm right down
Gentleman
the
Plus.
street.
Right? Just come up here once a week. Like, you know what? We're just gonna start. We had to spice things up, you guys. We had
There
to
we go.
Bring a sponsor
Throw
or
a
two,
wrench
and
in.
you're in.
Fine.
All right.
I got you.
All right.
All right, there you go.
And
Let's
also,
get David in here.
and maybe be
I'll
willing.
fly
Oh,
him
yeah,
out.
maybe
he'll
maybe
come.
be willing to move to Texas.
Well, at the rate that this city's going, I mean,
Yeah. So, all right.
If
well,
I had the money, I would just create my own city in Texas.
oh my God, I would be
Yeah.
a resident. So
That's what I'm saying.
I don't
I'll
know if
call
I'd
it
want to
real-
make
I'll
a
call it-
city. I'd want to make like a village in the fucking
Whatever, that's
woods.
fine.
Yeah,
Great.
you know what I
We're
mean.
there.
But whatever. You call
That'd
it
be
Little
whatever.
amazing.
shop owner. There's a
Yeah.
fucking blacksmith and shit, and you're out there like.
Why's it
fucking-
got to be a blacksmith? Why can't it be a white
It's a whitesmith.
It's a
There's a
they
white
got a
smith
white
in
smith
there.
We
there.
got a black guy that's a whitesmith.
All right, see, look at that.
Anyways, all right. Fucking A.
Jesus.
You can always find everything you need at deviantgentleman.com. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Deviant Gentleman.
Send towels. Why is it? It's 8,000 degrees in here all the time.
Always.
it is. It's so hot.
Oh, there's an
nice.
AC unit coming?
Beautiful.
Fucking A. Finally.
Thank
I've been
you.
losing weight every week we come in here.
Yeah.
You can find Tommy on Instagram at Tommy Vexed. You can find me at Shane.Vitko. And again, hers is at Crystal Tini, Tini.
Yeah.
Real name. And YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, all listening podcasts. It is always Deviant Gentleman Podcast. Type it all in because it won't come up.
Shadow band.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't even get to that.
Shadow band. Du-du-du.
Next week,
Come on
we
down. Do you
have-
like the truth? Do you question authority?
Shadow
band. Du-du-du.
There's our clip. Next week, tune in next week. We got at Take Naps, Bobby Saucedo, whatever the
Sausalito.
fuck. Sausalito. Bobby
Bobby
fucking
fucking yeah, he's like,
fucking Bobby.
oh my God.
Yeah, Big Blue.
Hilarious. Let's go, Big Blue.
So tune in next week for that. Thank you guys for tuning in. Much love. We'll see you next week. Oh, and we wish you fucking. What was the thing that I said? That's the new catchphrase.
What is it?
Remember last?
You
what did I
forgot
say-
the kid-
What did I
you
say
forgot
last
it already?
week to the guys when I said, and we just wish you guys fucking, and then I just didn't finish the sentence. Remember?
I don't remember. You got
Anyways, I don't know. We'll chop it before all that. Thanks, guys.
Sick.